All right, for the recording, welcome back. We are Arya Nagarjuna investigators. It's July 3rd, 2024. We are working on chapter 13. Let's bring our minds here, please. Bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you just by way of your thinking of them. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you. Smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiating from them. That beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we help fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. We're learning how that is possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. Thinking of karma and emptiness, grow that longing into an intention. Maybe even into a determination. Then turn your mind back to that precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, four lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamyaya Tayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that we do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that we do in this investigation and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that we do in sharing this investigation and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every other. We didn't have a quiz, but did we have an assignment? I forget. Were we working on something last week? All right, then let's just jump right in. Guess who's at the top of my screen? Elsie.
Open. Here I've made a song for you on the very root of the middle way, which I call wisdom. In the language of India, this text is called Prashna Nama Mula Madhyamaka Karika. In the language of Tibet, it is known as Sewe Uma Sik Sewe Siklu Jepashur in English. We call it wisdom, a song on the route of the middle way. I bow down to Manjushri, the glorious gentle voice in its guide as a teenage boy.
And Joanna, 1.1.
Can you put it a bit up? I can't see anything, everything on my screen. A
Sorry.
little bit. Thank you. 1.1. I bow down to that highest of teachers, to the fully enlightened one, who teaches us to reach that peace where our fantasies about how things exist are put to a final rest.
1.2, Janet, please.
I bow to the one who taught us that things happen in dependence. Nothing ends and nothing begins. Nothing stops, but nothing ever lasts forever. Nothing comes and nothing goes. No two things are different, nor are any two the same.
Thank you. Pauline, 1.3, please.
Okay, teacher. Nothing grows from itself. Nothing grows from something else. Nothing grows from both, and nothing grows without a cause. There is nothing at all that grows at all.
So this has been the recurring theme, hasn't it? That Arya Nagarjuna falls back on as the method of showing his point in each of the chapters. And then in order to show this to ourselves, he uses that logic, I guess, that says, go looking for, if there's a thing here that makes a thing over here, or makes the thing over here do something else, there must be a moment where these two things touch in space, and or there must be a moment in time that one affects the other. And so those are the two main ways he goes looking for these different causes. Right? Can something touch itself? Can something touch something else? If it can't do that and it can't do that, does it take both? Or does it just happen with no cause at all? Or does it not happen at all? Right? Those are like the possibilities. All right, so let's get rid of this one. And get back to where we were. Okay, what just happened? Oh, I know. All right, are you seeing not only does our pain itself not come from these four choices? Okay. See a little bigger. I'm still. All right, whoops, I made it too big. So let's remind ourselves where we are. We had those series of chapters that were about my desire, like where I think my pleasure comes from. And that pushes my desire for those pleasurable things, and that pushes my behavior. And when we moved into those chapters, it was because we had heard Arya Nagarjuna say essentially, nothing has any nature, nothing, no causes have any natures, no results have any natures. Right? And our Kachik is going, what? No nature? Because there's some part of our mind that goes, that means not at all. That means everything that happens is a figment of my imagination, even me, and so nothing is anything, and that's not true. Arya Nagarjuna, what's the matter with you? And so we said, no, that's not true, because I desire things, and I desire things because there's pleasure inside them, and there's pleasure inside them because they're in them, and it's like, come on. And so each time he said, well, let's look at that thing that has the pleasure in it. Let's look at that cause that you think brings the thing that has, let's look at all that stuff. We're looking at the other in this text. But in doing so, he's helping us recognize our relationship with those others, which by implication tells us about our own nature. Yeah, so we had in chapter 12, we had said, I do so have my own nature because I have suffering, because I have pain. And Arya Nagarjuna says, well, let's go look to see where that pain that you think makes it true that you have your own nature. Let's go looking for the true nature of that pain. And he showed us, helped us investigate that thing we call pain, that thing we call suffering, in fact, can't have its own nature, can't have a nature of being the suffering we experience. Because there's no moment they touch, there's no place they touch. And for me, it's like, because not everybody experiences it the same way, duh. So the conclusion at chapter 12 was, not only does our pain itself not come from these four choices, what four choices? From itself, from somebody else, something else, from both, from no cause at all. Not only does our pain itself not come from these four choices, but neither could any outer things ever come from these same four. And our Mr. Kachik, right? Kachik had said, I do so have my own nature because I suffer. And Nagarjuna's point is, no, your suffering proves you don't have your own nature. And then our Kachik goes, I do so exist because I do things, right? We're just grasping at all the ways that our daily life perpetuates our belief that there's a me here, and I go out into a world of things and others out there in order to get what I want and avoid what I don't want. And yes, I understand everything has causes and conditions and other factors. I know nothing's self-existent. But I also do know that I am real. Those things are real. Some things are pleasant and some, right? I fall back into that me here, them there. So from chapter 12 comes chapter 13. Arya Nagarjuna's response to our Kachik, I do so exist because I do things. Chapter 13 is the master's response. So we read the whole thing last time, right? I think we had started investigating, but let's start again and see how far we can go. So in response to I do so have a nature of my own because I do stuff, Arya Nagarjuna says, who's up? Natty, can you read, please?
Yes, thank you. As the conquerors has stated, anything which misleads us is to be called deceptive. And since all things that produce are things which mislead us, thus they are deceptive.
So if we're going to apply this to our I do so exist, me, he's just saying I'm deceptive. That feels a little weird. As we investigate this, though, it's, it sounds like he's talking about objects. Let's see how objects that do things can't really do things in the way that we want, like expect. But deep down, right, we're supposed to be applying it to our me, because that's our argument. I do so have a nature of my own. I do so exist. Is Arya Nagarjuna saying we don't exist? No. But he is saying we have no nature, not just no nature of our own, no nature at all. If we can get to the really clear conclusion, I have no nature of my own, that'll be good enough to really help us change our behavior. But technically, we have no nature at all. But that doesn't mean we don't exist. So we talked about what does it mean to be deceptive? And we had that whole long list. Just like think of them right now. Looks like what I do in the moment brings what comes next. It looks like the deliciousness is in the parfait. It looks like that yelling boss, just has bad manners. It looks like, and that's life. And specifically, anything that we experience as something that produces something else, that's all misleading us. Why is it deceptive that turning the key starts the car? If you didn't turn the key, the car wouldn't start. You have to turn the key for the car to start, don't you? Yes, deceptively. No, it's not deceptive. It would be deceptive if I hold the key in my hand, turn it, and the car starts, right? If it's turning the key that starts the car, I could do it by turning the key anywhere. That would be deceptive, wouldn't it? That would be magic. But would it work all the time? I hope not, because I inadvertently turn my key all the time, right? I just have it in my hand while I'm shopping and it's turning all over the place. And my car would be starting, stopping, starting, stopping. But that doesn't happen, thank goodness. Only when certain circumstances are together. So then what about our me that when I do something proves then that I have my own nature so that I can do it. How is that deceptive? How is it deceptive that my doing something, how does my doing something deceive me?
Sorry, teacher, can I try?
Yeah, please.
Janet.
Okay, Janet,
Yeah.
where'd she go?
This is a bad reflection on America. So I had, it's 4th of July and I had a friend visiting, and I used to be in a band and I used to talk with white liberals, and there was one libertarian and she's staying in a house with a different libertarian. And I never understood why these people didn't get along. I just thought they were nice people. So she explained it to me that libertarians have this fantasy that they can live in a world where there's cities and roads, which they didn't build, but that they worked hard and they're successful. Libertarians believe if you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work hard, all those lazy people shouldn't work. And my friend said, but they didn't build the cities and the roads and the buildings that they want to live in. They worked hard, but it was a group effort to build the cities and the roads and everything. And we live in a community where we're all together, where we all like work together, all the pros and all the cons. But these libertarians seem to think they want all the pros and they want to work hard, but they don't want all the cons. And they seem to think that they could have all the things that we built as a community together, but they don't want to help the community. So I guess I kind of see it as that conversation where people produce things, people work hard on their businesses. A lot of them have their own businesses. And they think that's the solution, that they produce things, but they don't produce everything. And then their business benefits from the roads and the infrastructure, but they didn't build all those things. But they're so proud of themselves that they worked hard and have their own business, and everyone else can have it too. And they're denying that there's a community here, that there's like group efforts that cause things to happen, that we were able to have our businesses.
Yeah. So you're saying it's deceptive that what I do produces what happens next without relying on, like, only from me.
Yeah, it's deceptive that you built your own business and you worked really hard, because there are really a whole bunch of other things that went into that business that you had nothing to do with, really.
Exactly. And so, that's one way in showing ourselves that, oh, the me I thought was the one that does it, that's in charge. It's not exactly like that. It's deceptive the way I'm thinking about me. I am dependent on so many other factors. Yeah, and as I hear myself say that, I go, yeah, I know. And there's the me who's dependent on all those other factors, right? It chips away a little bit at my self-sufficient, independent me. But it's not quite enough to say, wow, then my nature that I think I have can't be. But it sure helps. So yes, Kong Li, I forget my question by now, but tell us what you have in your mind.
Just now you're saying that everything we do it is is deceptive.
Right.
So in a way that it seems like if, let's say, I work a little bit harder, I can achieve something, or if, let's say, I am a manager and then it's my capability to manage a large group of people, so they think that that they are very, very capable, and then because due to their whatever their knowledge and then the experience, they can monitor, or they can control a large group of people. But I mean, it is not the way. Yeah.
Right. Right. Because not everybody sees them in that way.
Because if let's say hardworking, I think a lot of people, they're very hardworking, but not every people get what they want or achieve what they intend to have. So and then if let's say to manage a large group of people, I think the same two person, they have the same qualification, or they do have the the experience, the same experience, and then two result might be different. Yes.
Right. And so that person who's the capable manager of the large group, if you put yourself in the mind of each of the ones in the large group, each one perceives that person in a different way. Let's even say they all perceive the manager as being capable and good. They all admire the manager. But each one experience of that manager has to be unique to them, right? Has to be. And if I'm the manager, I'd be thinking, see, like I really have those good manager skills in me because my whole team, we're all on the right page. That proves that I have those good qualities. But it doesn't actually prove it, does it? It actually proves the opposite. Because each one of those members of the team sees me in a unique way. And my experience of them all seeing me as a capable manager is like, wow, that's almost magic, right? Because it almost never happens. So if I could be aware that each one of them is seeing me differently, and for right now, each one of them is seeing me as capable, and how did I create that and how can I perpetuate it? And maybe the whole reason I'm seen as a good manager is because I had already, I don't know, had that skill somehow. But the very situation in which we would say, oh, that proves that I do have my own nature, Arya Nagarjuna would say, no, in fact, it proves that you don't have your own nature. And that's why you can be a good manager or not, right? Because along comes an extra somebody and they plop into the team. And from their perspective, I am the worst manager in the world. And it's like, how can that happen if it's in me from me, right?
But teacher, this, oh, sorry, you finish first.
Just like the chapter 12, we said, no, I do so have my own nature because I suffer. Arya Nagarjuna was helping us get to the conclusion, no, because I suffer proves I don't have my own nature, so I can suffer. Right? This one's saying, I do so exist, I do so have my own nature because I do stuff. He's trying to help us get to the conclusion, no, because I do stuff shows me that I don't have my own nature, because if I did, I couldn't do stuff. Right? That's going to be the punchline for chapter 13. He doesn't say it that way. He wants us to come to that conclusion. And he does it by way of saying, look, Lord Buddha said, we are deceived by everything. So yes, Kongli, finish what you were having to say.
No, because this one, I think normally now, I mean, people are thinking in that way, I mean, not to say that, I mean, if let's say last time I haven't have the chance to read Nagarjuna, so I would think that way also, this is what normally people think, or because due to your knowledge, due to your experience, due to your, your ability, and then whatever, that's why you're so successful, and then that's why you can do something extraordinary, and then things like that, blah blah blah. So and in a way that eventually this will lead to something like the ego from somebody, because I something like that. You
Right.
get what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Deceptive. Since all things that produce, meaning that produce other things, that produce results, that produce change, we talked about what it means to produce, are things which mislead us, thus they are deceptive. So that's his premise. Yes, Elsie.
Dharma. How then do we perpetuate the goodness that we experience? Because I find that there are certain times that we do a series of things, like we help others and we extend our support to other people and all, and we have something good that ripens. And we would like to perpetuate that. Therefore, we repeat the whole process. But after some time, it feels so mechanical. It's just like, okay, I should do this. This is A, B, C, D, E, F, but then nothing happens. How then do we perpetuate it, the goodness, without it becoming mechanical?
Right. You know what? Let's see what Arya Nagarjuna says, because, right, that's all deceptive. All the doing good things to get good results, it's still deceptive. When I hear myself say deceptive, I feel the automatic reaction. Oh, not at all. Oh, not really. Oh, so it's not worth doing. And that's the wrong conclusion, right? That's the off the cliff conclusion, or at least hanging by my toenails off the cliff. We actually want our good deeds to become so automatic. That's all we can do. No, our default kindness. But if our default kindness is only built because of habit, not out of wisdom, it will become, on remote control. Maybe that has something to do with why there's a whole perfection called joyous effort. Maybe we get to the point where everything is it's so easy to choose kindness that we forget to have a good time doing it. And so it's a whole part of the practice, maybe. Yes, Pauline.
I think, teacher, you just answered my question. I was about to say, when we say deceptive, meaning to say, even we have done some goodness, it is something habitual. It's not because of wisdom, our right understanding. So because we are doing it habitually, something good, and we are not applying the wisdom, we forgot where good things are coming from, then we still have attachment, though we are doing good. So it's still a deceptive way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about how is it still being deceptive, but teacher answered because we are still doing it out of habit, and it's not out of wisdom.
Right. So does out of wisdom mean that I need to have consciously on my mind, oh, karma and emptiness, karma and emptiness, karma and emptiness? Is that really enough to have those words?
I think, like what teachers say, we must have practice kindness and all that on top of applying wisdom, understanding karma and emptiness. We need to have compassion, is it? Kindness?
Yeah. What is deceptive reality according to highest school? What's deceptive about deceptive reality in highest school?
Forgot what's the definition. Is it something meaning to say that we are still seeing, we are not understanding how things work. So we are still understanding how things work the wrong way. We are still having wrong worldview.
Yeah,
So
we're
we are,
thinking.
we are still thinking deceptively. Means we are still not understanding how things come from.
Right. We're holding that every part of every instant of every experience is happening. We're not holding it as seeds ripening projections happening. Right? We're not holding it that way.
And we are still seeing things, all things have some nature from their own side.
Right. Whatever that means, at whatever level. And that's deceptive. But okay, so then when our minds are Buddha, there'll be no deceptive reality. Is that right?
I think Buddha can see, being omniscient, Buddha will know, the Buddha will have he will know how normal people like us are thinking, what kind of deceptive reality we have in humans and all the sentient beings, and he will know what is the ultimate reality. He will have both views. He will have simultaneously. Is that right?
Yeah. It's so
So he would know why this human being is suffering and landed himself in this state, and what it takes for him
right.
to be a better person, or what it takes for him to gain enlightenment. Since the Buddha is omniscient, he
Right.
will have both views, deceptive,
So,
both deceptive, for the human being, how the human being is thinking.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So for an enlightened being, there is still appearing reality and the emptiness of the appearing reality. Is that right?
Appearing reality.
There's appearance, their form being, and then there's their dharmakaya, their mental being. There's still appearances and emptiness and awareness. There is, right? There has to be. There's appearance.
I don't know how it would appear to a Buddha, but all I know is, being omniscient, he would know how we as sentient beings are viewing things deceptively, and how, because being omniscient, then the Buddha will know the ultimate reality.
Right.
So I don't know how is it appearing to.
Okay. So ultimately, for a non-Buddha, deceptive means appearing in a way that isn't how they actually are.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yes. To a non-Buddha, right? Yes.
No, but for non-Buddha.
Yes.
Deceptive means the appearing reality that's misunderstood.
Yes.
How it is that it's appearing in the way that it is. The misunderstanding is, I think it's appearing in it from it.
Yes.
Dependent on a zillion different factors, and still in it from it. And I think that about I think that about myself, and I think that about what I do to make something happen. I think that what I do has something in it to make what happens next.
Mm.
And that's all deceptive, says Lord Buddha.
Yes.
Not meaning it doesn't happen at all, but meaning how we're holding all of that to exist and work isn't working in the way that we're holding it to work.
Yes.
That's middle way. Not
There's
at
the
all. Not
path.
doing it the way we think, somewhere in between.
That's the lower middle way.
No, that's all middle way. It's
I
all of it, all Buddhism altogether has it,
Okay.
right?
Okay. I can't
So
remember
we're
all the
trying
schools.
to work out what deceptive means. What we're trying to see is how when we hear deceptive, there's a part of us that goes, oh, then not at all. And that's what I'm trying to see if we can catch. Oh, it's deceptive that the key turning the car starts the car. It's deceptive, meaning it doesn't really do it. It just looks like it does it. But by projections, it really does it. There's no such thing as a key that can start a car, independent of my experience of the key starting the car that time. So Janet, you've had your hand up for a long time. Thank you for being patient.
So I I kind of look at parallels, which you should not compare different things, but I'm going to do it because I think I do it. I apologize in advance. So Chinese martial arts is totally separate from Tibetan Buddhism. There is a little bit of Buddhism in Chinese martial arts. And so if you're talking about like different levels, you know, that you have the different turnings of the wheel or the different schools in Chinese martial arts, when you're training, the initial one is strength and speed and maybe very large movements. So you can see large movements and then you go to smaller movements and then you go to relaxation so the opponent can't connect to you and feel you. And I don't know if there is a sequence. You generally start with big and you go to smaller, but you start with the deceptive. It's big. You see things happening and they're made, and then you go to smaller movements. And then you go to you don't you're relaxed. People can't see if you're really relaxed. They can probably feel it, and then in that sense, the emptiness might be deceptive. The emptiness feels like there's nothing there, but the truth is, if it's coming from your side, if the opponent is doing something to me and it's coming from my side, if I take that away, then I can control the situation. Then I'm controlling them. So if they put their hand on me and they feel nothing, they feel unthreatened, maybe even friendly. This is somebody friendly. But if my structure is better than theirs and I can find their lack of structure, then I can control the situation.
Right.
So I see this as a parallel where I am a woman. I will never win with strength and speed with a man, but I want to dominate a man. So the way I can go is by relaxation. So in the world of strength and speed, yes, I can get my chainsaw out and I can get my sawzall and my tools and I can build that house. But really, I want people in the house to feel uplifted. And you can have the house and you could have people, you know, abusing each other in the house. So if I really want to get to the house the way I want it, where people feel uplifted, then I'm working on emptiness and my good seeds and what
Right.
that will produce. So
Yeah.
yes, I can use strength and speed and I can build things like crazy. And I could still work in an assisted living place where I see people being abused, even though the house is beautiful.
Mm.
So then I get clued in that I can work really hard and I can change little things with my tools, or I can also like look at my behavior and my positive seeds, my negative seeds, and what I'm putting out and see if I can make some change. I don't even know if it'll be big change, but maybe it'll be enough change because sometimes I feel like doing things conventionally, you can make little tiny changes and they don't last forever. And then you get new coworkers and you have to start all over again. So the way to go for me is to try when 12 step, they say that the definition of craziness is to do the same thing over and over again. So I have worked like a libertarian really hard on my business, and I'm tired. So I am really a big fan of trying emptiness and seeing if that will project, my mind will see and project different things than what I've been seeing, which is, I'm not on mission. I don't have freedom. And even if I did, I'm told I can't really take away other people's suffering. But I really don't want to see all this suffering either. I wonder about that, about it does a bodhisattva feel like when someone wants them to give them their life, do they feel like that's coming from them? Because technically, according to this, it is coming from them. It's something being offered to purify. And
If
it
giving
makes
their
me,
life is a bad thing.
well, but purifying something is not, if you can purify a karmic seed by doing it.
Right.
And really, if I'm in a martial arts situation and someone wants my arm, if I go with it and I give it to them and I'm able to recover, it really doesn't matter. So if I'm able to give up my body and I recover, my thought is it doesn't matter. Just give them the body, give them the arm, and you can still control the situation.
Right.
But I'm obviously comparing things that are different, so that's not good. And I kind of think I'm overthinking this. And maybe the thing to do for me is just to practice a little bit and then relax.
Right.
Because all this
Right. But your experience in martial arts with what you're learning, right, about karma and emptiness, you have synthesized that information, right, into an experience for yourself that shows that, yes, in fact, if I can, I don't know the right words, I can give in such a way that puts me in control, right? Which seems like
why not? Why
Yeah.
not? If I can't win with strength and speed, they can have my arm just for a split second, and then when I recover, I'm back on track again. But
Exactly.
they have to follow me all the way. If they're going to take my arm, they have to take it off completely. But they don't know that about me, not until they know me a little bit better.
Right. And
So
when you're
yeah, it's all
confident,
about knowing your opponent too.
yeah.
The more you know the opponent, the more you can have success to defeat them. And I
Right.
can bank that my advantage is they just don't know me.
Right.
And I walk around the assisted living, and my friend who's visiting used to work in assisted living, and she said she saw drum circles and pagan activities. And I walk around and I see 3-year retreat. These people are in retreat. They have such an opportunity. So it's all in the way you look at it, really. It's the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Deceptive. Because reality is deceptive, it's all in the way you look at it. Right. So it's a good thing to recognize that things are deceptive. Right. So with that in mind, right, our initial response is deceptive. Oh, it's all wrong. I need to make it undeceptive. And really, that's where the whole scripture goes. It's like, if everything's deceptive, how do you override the deception? No, do we even really want to stop the deception? No, I could make a case that we don't want to stop the deception. We want to be aware that it's happening. And that stops the deception. We stop being deceived. Right. So we're thinking, well, at some point we're thinking that the world is deceiving me. But come on, the tree out there is not doing anything to deceive me. it's I'm deceiving myself by perceiving that tree and thinking, holding it to be something in it, from it, out there, when it's not that at all. So who's deceiving who? Who's deceived? Are the things that produce deceiving me? Or am I making the right? I can't say I'm deceiving them. I'm not deceiving the tree, but I'm deceiving myself.
It's we ourselves who deceiving ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we override the deception?
Wisdom.
Nice to my Ney Lama.
Be nice to your Neilamas, right? That's great. If something is misleading us, what can mislead the deception? The conqueror has taught us this when he taught us emptiness. So the deception is that we don't hold or know or experience that everything we experience is the ripening results of karmic seeds into all aspects of the experience that we are having. It's like the mislead, the deception is actually something we're not doing. Just so slippery. Which means what we are doing is holding the me as a me in here and a other as the other out there, and the belief that what I do now towards the other makes what the other makes what happens next, makes what happens to me next. And Conqueror says, no, all of that is empty of self nature. And that's supposed to override the deception. But when we hear about this empty nature of all existing things, and we use the term emptiness, aren't we still misleading ourselves? If our mind, if every seed in our mind is colored with the deception, then so is our hearing the explanation of emptiness is colored with the deception, which means the emptiness we think we're understanding is colored with the deception. We are somehow misunderstanding the emptiness that is the key to overriding the deception. How can we ever override the deception if even the explanation of the override we are deceiving ourselves about? Aren't we just stuck? The reason I say, aren't we just stuck, is because of the, I just lost that. It just slipped away. Is because we're holding the emptiness as the wisdom, as something in it, from it, when it's an absence, when it's a something not there that we thought was there, that never was there, never could be there. And so we're holding the deception that's in every single one of our seeds as having some nature of its own. If the deception has some nature of its own, we are in fact stuck. If the deception had some nature of its own. And I perceive the tree in a deceived way today, and the deception has some nature of its own, don't I have to perceive the tree the same way, in the same deceived way, the next day, and the next day, and the next day? But in my deceived mind, the tree changes. It goes from spring to summer to fall. And in my deceived mind, it's like, yeah, because that's what trees do as the seasons change. And I still think in it from it. But then that shows me that the deception can't have its own nature, because otherwise, right, the thing I'm perceiving deceptively would have to be the same deceptive every single time. And it doesn't. Things change. But I don't have this really deep inherent reject of things having their natures in them, the reject of things having their natures in them, by way of showing myself that something changes. Like theoretically, you show yourself something changes and its own self nature will just disappear. Fleetingly, but disappear. And I still have to go through the, why if something changes, it can't have its own nature? I have to go through it every single time. And then I'll get there. So, we understand deceptively that there are beings who have used emptiness to override the deception and reach that state of their own ultimate happiness. And in order to reach that, they had to care enough about everybody's suffering to be able to override the deception enough to reach that place of their own ultimate happiness, which is the state of mind through which they can help everybody reach that ultimate happiness, so that they can become the being that can help everybody reach that happiness, so they can become the being that can reach all, right? You can't stop. It's not that I have to do all of this to reach my happiness. It's I do all of this to reach the place where I can help everybody reach the place where they can help everybody reach the place. Right. And it's not so much sequential as like all happening. All my happiness is based on being able to help everyone reach the place where they're in the place where they can help everybody. All right. So it's like I don't know how to say it. It's like the nested dolls. It's like exploding mushroom. It's like, right. It's this ever outflowing. Why am I going there? Because emptiness as part of our experience is what overcomes the deception, not emptiness that we think has some nature of its own. And the deception that we're trying to overcome also can't have any nature of its own, which is the emptiness that then overrides it. Right? So I do something means I have my own nature. Nagarjuna is saying, wait, you're doing something is deceived, first of all, because what you're doing is not bringing what comes next. And you're thinking that you're doing something confirms your own nature in you so that you can do that is deceived, because if you had your own nature, you couldn't do anything. And that doesn't like land automatically in me yet. It's still, if I can do something that proves I have my own nature. And he says, deceived, But we could say, yes, deceptively, I do have my own nature. Deceptively. And what would that mean? Right? Every projection has my subject side with the nature of being the subject side within this ripening. That's a nature. It's not a nature in me from me, but it is definitely a nature. My nature of no nature, which is what's coming up next. Who has their hand up? Natty.
Thank you so much. So if I understand it correctly, I wanted to ask you this question, that in order for us to become Buddha, we need to not be in this body and have this mind that we currently, that human body and human mind. But there is an option, there is a possible, we can achieve some way of seeing the emptiness by meditating and seeing the emptiness in this, reaching the meditation level to meditate 1 hour and to see emptiness for 10 minutes and then have the realization, but it's not staying with us until we get to the place where we are not embodied and not attached to this body and not attached to this human body and human mind. And only then, like the Buddha doesn't have this physical body and physical mind. They can emanate, like they can make themselves seen by us that they have physical body and physical mind. You don't want to answer? Okay, I'm not gonna ask anymore. Okay, but what about nirvana then? Nirvana is a place where there's still illusions, there's still misconceptions, right? We still not see it. Okay, I'm not gonna ask you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are on the right track. Keep chewing on it. But no, what you say is not correct. Quite. But it would take me 3 years. If I could even do it. Which is why we're studying ACI together.
Thank you. Thank you.
I yacked through our break time. Let's take a break. Share. Pause recording. So we've said, I do so have my own nature, exist with my own nature, Arya Nagarjuna, because I do stuff. And his answer is, Lord Buddha said, everything misleads us. Everything is deceptive, and anything that is deceptive misleads us, and things that produce things mislead us. So therefore, they must be deceptive. Who are we saying does things? Me, with my own nature. So me with my own nature is somehow deceptive. How do I overcome the deception? Buddha taught emptiness as what can mislead the deception, deceive the deception, like double deception. Isn't that supposed to come up with what's right? Not necessarily, right? You can have the con man getting conned by another con man, right? And we're deceiving the deceiver and just getting more deceived. That's not what emptiness does. Emptiness reveals the deception so that we can stop misleading ourselves. Let's see where he goes. Is there anybody who hasn't read yet? Pauline, you didn't read. Kongli, okay, please. Kongli.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Things that perform a function can have no essential nature because they appear to change into a different thing. But neither can functioning things lack an essential nature, for these same things have their own emptiness.
So Arya Nagarjuna is playing with us a little bit here because he's using the term essential nature in two different ways. One to show us a misperception of essential nature, and one to show us what would be a more accurate understanding of essential nature. So what does he mean? Things that perform a function can have no essential nature because they appear to change into a different thing. So here, essential nature means the thing that's performing the function can't have some nature of its own. Why does he say that? Because they appear to change into a different thing. We're not talking about the function. We're talking about the thing that performs the function. The me that turns the key to start the car. I've performed the function, right? You could say, no, it was the key that performed the function. So let's go there first. The key that performed the function. Does it change into a different thing? No, it's still the key. Why does he say the thing that performs the function appears to change into a different thing? So here's my car key that has started the car, I don't know, 374 times. And now I stick it in the ignition, start the car. Now the key has started the car 375 times. Is the key different? Yes, it is. Even physically, it's different. I wore a few molecules off of it, didn't I? It's one car start older, one car start more experienced, one car start different. Do I perceive it as being different? No, because if I did, it's like I'd never be able to find my car keys. I perceive it as the same thing. I don't even perceive it as appearing to change. But if we're going to look for whether or not the key has some nature in it of being my car's car key, and I try to establish that it is that in it from it, could the thing change? No. Because its nature is in it from it. Is it in it from it independent of any other factor? No, it was made by the company. It's unique to my car. It has all kinds of other things in it. But we still hold it in some way to be unique to itself, meaning independent of my experience of it. So set my car keys on a counter and have somebody who doesn't know me look at that thing. Do they see, oh, Sarani's Subaru car key? No. Do they necessarily even see a car key? What about the little kid who grows up in a family that has a Tesla, right? And the thing that opens the car and starts the car is a card that dad and mom carry in their wallets. The kid never even sees it. You just get in the car, do this, and the car starts up. It's like, now hold a thing that we call a car key in front of that kid. And what are they going to see? Right. Right. We're looking for the essential nature of the thing that performs the function. Oh, it can't have its own nature. It can't have an essential nature. But then he says, but wait, it can't lack an essential nature because these same things have their own emptiness. Meaning that in order for that car key to not have its own nature, the nature that the object has is its lack of being a car key or a doorknob or a glass of milk or anything else in it, from it. And that is its essential nature. It's emptiness. It must have emptiness in order to be a it that can do something. Do you follow that? Things that perform a function can't have their own natures. Why? Because they appear to change into a different thing. But neither can the functioning things have no nature at all. Because if they have no nature at all, they can't do anything. They have to have an empty nature so that they can do things. Right? And again, it's like my mind goes, empty nature? How can an empty nature do anything? How can a thing without an empty nature do anything? Yeah, right? I'm misperceiving both of them. I'm thinking if it has no nature at all, it means it's not really there. If it has a nature in it from it, I think, yeah, that works for it to do stuff, but no. If it's in it from it, it can't change. Why, if something's in it from it, can't it change? Can't it decide, I want to change? I, car key, want to start the car. Well, then it's starting the car was caused by its thought to start the car, not from it. Right? If something has to be influenced by something else to do something, then it doesn't have its function in it from it. If the car key needs me to pick it up and stick it in the car and turn it, then the car key is not the cause of starting the car in it from it. I'm the cause of starting the car, but not in me from me either, right? Why? because I need the key to do it. Why? Because I have no nature of being a car starter in me from me. If I did, I could do it without the key. And if I did, if my nature was being a car starter, then that, independent of any other factor, then all I could ever do is start cars, because that's what I am. In which case, right, my car would be starting all the time. But wait, that doesn't work. Because it would have to start and go off in order to start again. We did all this kind of stuff in the earlier chapters. If the thing starts once, how does it ever stop starting? But it has to stop starting in order to go. Right? And it was like, yeah, this is so crazy. But now we're seeing, right, we're seeing the same reasoning. So listen again. Things that perform a function can have no essential nature because they appear to change into a different thing. Do they change into a different thing? What thing? So now we're applying it to our I do so exist because I do things. I do so have my own nature because I can pick up the key and start the car with it. No, you can't have your own nature because you're different after you do that than you were before you did that. Do we argue with that? When I start the car one more time than I've ever done before, am I different than I was? Yeah, I'm different. Am I a whole different thing? No. But do you see where I'm clinging? No, it's still me. But what me is it? Right? What me is still, oh no, that'd get me in trouble. What me is there as I'm performing the function of starting the car? Which one is it? Right? It's going like this, aren't I? My me? Beep, 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 beep. Will the real me starting the car please stand up? At this moment, the car goes, right? That must be it. But wait, isn't there a middle of that moment, beginning and right? You can always split it down. We already learned how to do that. Okay, I can't find the actual moment the key starts the car, but that means I can't find the actual moment that my turning the key starts the car. I can't find the actual moment of the me that I think is there in me, from me, that's starting the car because I'm changing moment by moment by moment by moment. Does that make me disappear? No, that's what makes me here, moment by moment by moment by moment. So where's the essential nature me in the one that's changing moment by moment by moment by moment? And if I didn't have the essential nature, I couldn't be a functioning thing. You know that old nursery rhyme? My hat, it has three corners. Three corners has my hat. And had it not three corners, it wouldn't be my hat. It's like my me, my functioning me is here. and I can't do it. And my functioning me has qualities. And if I had not those qualities, I would not be a functioning me. And it's like, right. Appearing and no self nature. Appearing nature and empty nature, they arise together. And when we are not being that, we are deceived. Right? Our own awareness of our subject side is deceived because our own awareness of our subject side is me separate from what's being experienced. So we're trying to get to this like experiential, I mean, English is going to go weird, this experiential nature of subject object interaction between happening without needing to be outside of that happening for it to happen. Right? We are the subject side, but the object and the interaction between is all coming out of our own seeds. Our subject side is too. And as we are waking up, as Lord Buddha called it, the wake up is that, oh my gosh, right? There's this bigger reality that you don't even call your own me because it would put you back inside here, that identifies as all of it. And then we can see why it's necessary for our compassion to include all of it in order to reach the place where our perception would include all of it. You know, like all of what? All that's arising. Okay, so Kongli, you've had your hand up for a long time. Thank you.
Teacher, okay, for the first paragraph, I have one picture in my mind, and then actually, you know, I have this question, you know, their functions and the key itself, the hardcore. So which means that if let's say the hardcore, the key itself, so it will change because wear and tear from the first day when it is produced until it can be like, you know, broken. So this one is considered a change as well, isn't it?
Yes.
But then the first function is about the function of the key. So which means that here it is talking about the key itself or the function of the key.
If that's what we're defining as the functioning thing that we're talking about, yes.
For function, the
thing.
functioning
The
key.
thing, not the functioning, the thing.
The thing, the key itself.
Right.
Okay. So but I haven't figured out the second part because the first part is like, you know, to me it's like the key itself went there from day one until the very last day. Maybe the key is broken, which means that this is the changes that I can imagine from the key itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But if when we say, look, that key has no nature of its own, and we say, well, then that means there's no such thing as a key. A key with no nature at all isn't a key. It can't do anything. So the second paragraph says, look, that functioning thing that has no essential nature, meaning no nature of its own, that can't do anything either. That has to have some essential nature, and the essential nature that it has is its emptiness. So it's addressing the flop over from, well, if that key has no nature of being a key at all, which would be the wrong conclusion from the first paragraph.
Okay, put it this way, maybe can I say that if let's say the same key, if let's say I hold it in front of a human, it is a key. But if let's say I hold it in front of the a dog, I mean it doesn't mean anything to a dog. So
Exactly. And that's the objects that reveals the object's true nature, which is its no self nature, right? It having no nature of its own does not make it be a thing that doesn't exist at all. It doesn't make the key that I'm holding on to be this illusion like a mirage or a rainbow, that when I go to try to use it on my car, it just, doesn't do anything.
okay.
Because it does have the nature of having no self nature, which means my projection can make it my car key that starts my car. That's what this is saying.
Okay. What if let's say I put it this way? The car key, whether it is function, well, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Sometimes it can function, sometimes it cannot function, which means that, the functioning, of the key itself, the empty nature is depends on who use it. Because if let's say I don't have the seat, then I cannot start the car. And then if let's say someone, so the emptiness itself is like there's no there's no self nature from the key itself.
Right. That is the emptiness. Right. The fact that there's no nature in the key of being a key is its emptiness. Without that emptiness, it can't be a key or not be a key or be anything else. So it has no nature of its own. How do we say it in English? It has no essential nature, but it can't not have any essential nature.
Guess at the end
The
of the day,
nature it has is an absence of its own nature. The nature it has is an absence of its own nature. Is that a thing?
yeah, because we
No,
still
it's
need
an
to
absence.
we still need to use the key to start the car. So
Apparently. So apply it to your me, right? Me. I'm the thing that performs the function. Arya Nagarjuna, are you saying I have no essential nature? Yes, I am saying that, Sarani. Why do you say that? Because you appear to change into a different thing. What? Am I different because I started the car one more time? Am I a different thing? Right? That feels weird, right? No, I'm not a different thing. I'm still Sarani. But I was Sarani who'd started the car 374 times. And then I'm a Sarani who started the car 375 times. Is that a different thing? Yes. It's pretty skillful. Because he said, because we appear to change, he could have left it at that. But appear to change into a different thing makes us still crank down on, I'm thinking of myself as a thing that has its own nature. And so I can, if I don't get it right, I can deceive myself into saying, I'm a thing that changes, and still hold to myself as being the thing that's changing. Right? And that would be holding me back. And yet, how do I identify myself as an unthing? Right? An unthing doesn't change either from its own side. Can an unthing do anything? Apparently, that's the only thing that can do anything, is an unthing. I don't know, I'm just trying to play with my own mind and find a reaction, something that I can say in words where my reaction is, oh, I get it, instead of ving, ving, ring, ving, ring, ving. And so I just keep using different words, using different explanations, watching my reaction until it goes, ah, ooh, ah. Catch that one. And then I try to use that one over and over again. Am I a thing that changes?
Teacher, sorry, I'd like to ask you, when you say unthing, the spelling is UNTHING, meaning to
Yeah.
say it's not a thing.
Right?
Okay, thank you.
Like the Uncola. Remember the ads for 7-Up? The Uncola. Right? It's 7-Up. We're 7-Up. We're not just another cola like Coca-Cola, right? We're the Uncola. I'm a unsarani. Oof. So where do you think we're going to go? Things that perform a function can't have their own natures, but neither can they have no nature at all. And the nature that they have is their no self nature, which then allows them to be the functioning thing that whoever is experiencing them that way experience them as. Was that English? Without that no self nature, if there were such a thing as a functioning thing, it would make everybody use it in the same way, wouldn't it? Hmm. So let's go to 13.4. To see if I could predict where it's going, but I have to admit, I just peeked. Let's just go there. Pauline, please.
Sure, teacher. Without a nature of its own, what changes into something else? With a nature of its own, how could it change to something else?
Ah, we just talked about all that, didn't we? If I have no nature of my own,
Oh, because of the emptiness of the non-self nature thing.
right,
It is because there is an emptiness in the thing.
right.
Yeah.
But this was our question from before. The first paragraph says the thing that does the function can't have any nature of its own because it changes. And we ask, well, wait a minute. If the key doesn't have the nature of being a key, what is there to change into something else? And if it has a nature of its own, how could it change into something else? Right, so this is probably our critique, saying, wait a minute, Arya Nagarjuna, first paragraph doesn't follow because if something has no nature of its own, then it's nothing that can change into something else. And he says, well, if the key has its own nature in it from it, what's going to make it change into something else? How can something else change, affect, touch, change anything that has its nature in it from it, independent of any other factor? When we say a nature in it from it, it means inherently, like there from forever. And we go, no, things have their natures in them and other things affect them. And it's like, that is totally illogical, inconsistent, impossible. Remember the impossible and the invisibles? So we kind of need to work it out so that we can see our inconsistency. Either things have their natures in them from them, in which case the car key will make me start the car with it, because that's what car keys do. In them, from them, they can't do anything else than that if it's in them, from them. Like the ramification of our belief that the car key has some identity in it is that, well, then it cannot ever be doing anything else but starting a car if that's its nature. And it wouldn't even need a car, would it? Because it has the nature of starting cars in it. Cars would be starting everywhere because I have a car key sitting on my counter. Maybe, like any car that starts anywhere, like there are cars starting now, right? Somewhere in the universe, there's a car starting up right now. It's my key doing it. But then that would mean there could be nowhere where a car is trying to start and it can't start. Is that probably happening somewhere too? Well, it can't be, because my car key starts cars, and that's what it does, and that's what it is doing, because that's in it. Do you see how absurd it is? Now apply it to our own nature. Yike. Right? What is it to be me, in me, from me, inherently, like the key, whatever it means to be me, would have to be happening this always, wouldn't it? And it's like, I don't even know how to say that. It's like there is a me happening always. But if the me I think is me, can I ever change into a different me? If the me at 10 years old is the same me at 70, right? It can't be, right? Subject side, but never the same two moments in a row. If my subject side had a nature of its own, it can't change into something else. But if my subject side has no nature of its own, what would change? What would go from 10 years old to 11 years old? I have to have some nature. Yes, Elsie.
The question to what you asked just now, in science, they would tell you it's gene expression, epigenetics.
Okay.
That's how epigenetics changes us and makes us look different. But actually, I'm trying to relate this to the I mean, I get the key and starting the engine, but I'm trying to relate it to like the two husbands in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I have this one husband who has always been so sweet, so kind, and every day I come back, he helps me with work, cooking, and all those. And suddenly I come back one day, I'm so tired and all, and suddenly he starts shouting at me. So what changes? What caused him to change so suddenly? You know? So is it it has it uh been has he been like that all the time and I just don't see it?
Mhm.
Or did something happen that I don't know of that changes it? You know? So it got me thinking to if he's without a nature of his own,
Right.
then what what are the what would change him into the angry person he is now?
Right. With no nature of his own, what changed?
Mm.
What did change?
Something deeper than that. It would be the seeds
Right.
that change.
My experience of him changed, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Was there a him there to change? Yes, but not in the way we
But the way we look at it,
right,
the way we perceive it to be.
right. So it at the beginning of your explanation, he was always so sweet. And then one day he's nasty. And we don't go, wow, my projections changed. We go, what happened to him? What happened to him? Was I misunderstanding? Is he feeling bad? Is he sick? What happened to him? When Arya Nagarjuna would go, oh my gosh, can't you just see? Right? Why wouldn't we automatically say, what happened to my projections? Right? What happened?
Yeah. When that should be the thing. What did I do wrong to see this?
Right. And then really more importantly, what can I do now
to get him back.
right, to change back, right? What can I do now in hopes of it shifting back again? But even then, that's kind of a wrong conclusion too,
Yeah.
because what do I do now would be like a more wise action rather than what do I do now to make it the way I want it in the future? Yeah. But rather, how do I keep my vows right now in order to stop all this suffering for everybody? Like, how do I behave right now? And it's going to take some thinking, probably the first 50 times. But it's like, here's an opportunity for me to plant. And our habit is, what's wrong with you? You know, blame you. I mean, my mind is doing it constantly all day long. And it's like, fortunately, my response isn't from what my thinking is. I'm feeling the sort of schizophrenic disconnect. My mind's doing this, my behavior is doing that. And it's like, these two are inconsistent. Hopefully the mind craziness is going to give way before the behavior shifts back to selfish, stupid Sarani. But right, as we catch our explanations to ourselves about why things are happening the way they are, This was what Arya Nagarjuna is wanting to help us do. We start all these explanations and it's like they're all mistaken. When we finally come to the conclusion, wait a minute, this is an experience unique to me. Therefore, how I respond is critical, more critical than any of the other factors. How I respond. Why? Because functioning things have no nature of their own, but it's not that they have no nature at all. Got it? We have 4 minutes. Let's see what the next one says. Janet, would you read, please?
A thing that really was a thing could never change into another, but neither could it be another thing, because the young cannot grow old, and the old can't grow old either. Thank God.
I know. I hope you like the age you're at, because what's he saying here?
It's all relative.
Yeah. And further, it's all relative to what?
To our seeds.
Right. It's all dependent on our seeds ripening. And what are those dependent upon?
How nice we are to our Nay Lama.
Oh, yay, Janet, you have it. Send your Nay Lama a thank you card, would you? A thing that really was a thing could never change into another thing. Do we see that? Intellectually, we see that. But do we really live according to it? No. Things are really things. And they change into other things, sometimes other things that we want, and sometimes other things that we don't want. And when they change into something that we don't want, we blame them. Oh, shoot. So why does he say, because the young can't grow old and the old can't grow old either?
Because I'm 50, 54, 55, and I think I'm old. But when I'm 70, I'll think I'm young when I'm 54, 55.
Right. And will you think that you are the same Janet?
If I think of myself as my 27-year-old self, yes, but I'm really not.
Right, exactly. The young can't grow old because the 10-year-old me, it's not that the 10-year-old me has grown into the 70-year-old me. 10-year-old me was only 10-year-old me until I turned 11. And then I'm 11-year-old me. And 11-year-old me doesn't turn into 12-year-old me. 11-year-old me is gone when I'm the 12-year-old me, right? The young's not growing old. And then the 70-year-old me, in the same vein, will not be the 90-year-old me in the same way that the 10-year-old me is not the 70-year-old me. Right? The me that I'm holding to, if I'm that me, really, I can't change. Because that me, that really me, is independent of other factors. But come on, like I'm watching my own mind go, but, I am me. And I was me from the instant I was, well, I have to stop. I was going to say the instant I was born, and then I was going to say, no, the instant I was conceived. But actually, my earliest memory of myself is probably at somewhere between 3 and 4 years old. So I would have to honestly say my me started there. Right now, the me that I think of now, the first memory I have of me was that one. And I was probably 3 or 4 years old. So that's where my me started. Because I have no conscious awareness of anything before that. And that's ridiculous, right? Because there had to have been a me inside the little baby. But if I have no memory of it, how can I confirm? I have pictures of when I was a little baby. I must have been, but I can't remember. But I'm me now. So before. Then why does that stop like at conception? It would have to go before, but that's different. What he's trying to get at is this: I do so exist because I do things. Well, if you're really a thing, you can't change into anything else. And if you're really a thing, then you have to be the same thing through time. And if I'm the same thing through time, then I could be a young person who grows old and an old person that grows old. Even as I'm holding to the fact that I'm really a thing and that a really thing can't change. Do you see how absurd it is? Like what we take as, cognitively intact human lifetime is so absurd and illogical and ridiculous that it can't possibly work the way that we think it works. And I don't know about you, but I haven't got quite to the absurdity of it yet in my moment by moment experience. I love to recognize the absurdities of human behavior, naturally, mostly others' behavior, before I point out the absurdity of my own. But there's so much absurdity. And I love that word because it's not right or wrong. It's just nuts. Because then we react in a certain way to protect our old belief that's built on the absurdity. We're trying to perpetuate something that's so ridiculous. I get kind of a glimpse of what it must be like to be Arya, and you can't stop it, but you know what's going on. You're like clearly aware of the absurdity as you're participating in it, because you just have to burn those seeds off, right? And some period of time that you're in the absurdity and know you're in the absurdity and there's nothing you can do about it. I suppose that's why they laugh a lot, right? All right, I'm sorry, I went past our time. I really thought we'd get through the whole chapter, but I'm glad we didn't. So I'm going to leave us with the task this week of trying to get more clear how we're holding to things as really things, and that we're holding them to things that can change. And how absurd that is, how the disconnect is. And see if we can get into the middle way of that. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. I don't suspect we will ever have a conversation like this with them. But having had it together, we will someday be able to help them come to see how to stop their distress forever. And that's such a great goodness. That's really why we're doing this. And so please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy beings. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to help you, inspire you, support you. Ask them to show you the absurdity. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into our hearts. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every existing being everywhere, anywhere. See them all feeling like they've just received a lovely hug. And so they want to be nice to everybody around them. Even the bugs. And may it be so. All right. Thank you so much for playing with me.
Thank you.